presentation, you will learn about ethnicity. Ethnicity, in simple words, means a social group that has a common national or cultural tradition. Ethnicity was a salient feature of many historical societies. In modern settings, ethnicity first consists of a reference to a collective identity involving fundamental dilemmas. In sociology, ethnicity is a concept referring to a shared culture and a way of life. This can be reflected in language, religion, material culture such as clothing and cuisine, and cultural products such as music and art. Ethnicity is often a major source of social cohesion as well as social conflict. In our world, we have three large ethnic groups to small ethnic groups which consist of just a dozen people too. The intellectual history of the term ethnicity is relatively short. Before the 1970s, there was very little mention of it in anthropological literature and textbooks containing no definitions. Since the mid-1970s, the concept has partly acquired strategic significance within anthropological theory as a response to the changing post-colonial geopolitics and the rise of ethnic minorities activism in many industrial states. The shift has resulted in a proliferation of theories of ethnicity explaining such diverse phenomena as social and political change, identity formation, social conflict, race relations, nation building, assimilation, etc. Approaches in ethnicity. There are three competing approaches to the understanding of ethnicity. They could be roughly categorized as primordial, instrumentalist, and constructivist. Primordial theories assert that ethnic identification is based on deep primordial attachments to a group or culture. Instrumentalist approaches treat ethnicity as a political instrument exploited by leaders and others in pragmatic pursuit of their interests. And constructivist approaches emphasize the contingency and fluidity of ethnic identity, treating it as something which is made in specific social and historical contexts rather than treating it as a given. A primordialist view, the objectivist theories of ethnicity, which assert that ultimately there is some real tangible foundation to ethnic identification. This can be subdivided into those in which ethnicity is viewed as biological phenomenon and those in which it is construed as a product of culture and history. The conceptual differences are ultimately rooted in different understandings of human nature and society. In those theoretical frameworks, strongly influenced by evolutionism, ethnicity is usually conceptualized as based on biology and determined by genetic and geographical factors. Some authors view that recognition of the group affiliation is genetically encoded, being a product of early human evolution when the ability to recognize the members of one's family group was necessary for survival. Socio-biological interpretations of ethnicity have been severely criticized, but the main thesis that human ethnic groups are extended kin groups or collectivities based on the descent was assimilated by relativists in talk of quasi-kingship groups. Explicit primordialism was entertained in Russian and Soviet anthropology. Taking its origin in Herder's neo-romantic concept of the Volk as a unity of blood and soil, it was worked out into a positivist program for ethnographic research in the work of S.M. Shirokogorov, who has defined the ethnos as a group of people speaking the same language and admitting common origin, characterized by a set of customs and a lifestyle which are preserved and sanctified by tradition, which distinguishes it from others of the same kind. This approach was later developed in the works of Y.V. Bromley, who has given a very similar definition of ethnos, and L.N. Gumilev. The latter believed in the existence of the ethnos as a biosocial organism and developed a framework for the study of ethnogenesis as a process that was geographically determined. The rise to the existence of an ethnos was depicted as a combined effect of cosmic energies and landscape. Instrumentalist approaches from the late 1960s in the theories of modernity and modernization, ethnicity was treated as a remnant of the pre-industrial social order, gradually declining in significance. It was a marginal phenomenon to be overcome by the advance of the modern state and national integration and assimilation. Until the mid-70s, ethnicity was defined structurally, that is, in terms of the cultural morphology of a given society. It was suggested that objective and perceived differences between the various groups in society served as a basis for producing a distinctive group identity, which in its turn created the context for intergroup relations and political mobilization. Cultural affinities might be exploited as a basis for intergroup affiliation in political struggles, but were seen as temporary and minor impediments on the way to the modern ethnicity to 41 nation state. So in this cultural approach to the study of ethnicity, it was typically defined in terms of the objective cultural structure of the society. The common observation that not every cultural group develops an ethnic identity or consciousness of group affiliation could be accounted for in the concept of latent or silent ethnicity. Sometimes this functionalism acquired a psychological twist. Then ethnicity was explained as an effective means of recovering lost ethnic pride. The debates would be continuous and every time it would develop further. However, we can come to the consensus that the definition of an ethnic community as a group of people whose members share a common name and elements of culture, possess a myth of common origin and common historical memory, who associate themselves with a particular territory and possess a feeling of solidarity, opens further avenues for integration of anthropological, political and psychological knowledge in the understanding of ethnic phenomena. Politics and ethnicity. At times, ethnicity is converted into a product of political myths created and manipulated by cultural elites to pursue advantages and power. The cultural forms, values and practices of ethnic groups often become resources for elites in competition for political power and economic advantage. At times, it is used for generating votes. They become symbols and reference to identity members of a group which are called up to ease the creation of political identity. Thus, ethnicity is created in the dynamics of elite competition within the boundaries determined by political and economic realities. DNA testing for ethnicity. With technology becoming more advanced, people who have lost touch with their roots due to migration, forced migration, adoption, etc., can find their origin through DNA tests. DNA testing is available through services such as 23andMe, MyHeritage, and Living DNA, allowing people to explore their genealogy using their genetic information. Examining DNA can reveal information about a person's ancestry and ethnic background. While the principles of DNA testing are sound, the private companies that offer this service through home testing kits have been criticized for their methodologies. Thank you for watching the presentation. Do like, subscribe, share and leave your comments about this presentation or any other topics you would like to learn more about.